Did Meghan Markle really pay royal staff to bully Princess Charlotte? And has Prince William just stripped her of her royal title in revenge? Tonight, a scandal erupts inside the palace walls that could shatter the monarchy's fragile unity. Explosive allegations claim Meghan orchestrated a secret plot targeting the young Princess Charlotte. And now whispers say Prince William has taken the ultimate step, erasing Meghan's royal title in fury. But is any of it true? Who's leaking secrets from inside the palace? And what does this mean for the future of the royal family? Stay with us as we peel back layers of rumor, betrayal, and royal vengeance in a story unlike anything you've heard before. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. What would it take for a royal prince to strip a member of his own family of her royal title? How far would someone go to protect a child from harm? Even if it meant igniting a public firestorm that could shake the monarchy to its very core? And could the woman who once captivated millions around the world, transforming herself from Hollywood actress to duchess, truly be capable of orchestrating a scandal so cruel and shocking that it threatens to shatter the fragile trust between the British public and the House of Windsor forever? Tonight, we dive into a story that's as explosive as it is heart-wrenching. A story tangled in rumors, whispers, and explosive headlines. A story that has left even seasoned royal watchers questioning everything they thought they knew about Meghan Markle, Prince William, and the very future of the British royal family. It's a tale that, if true, could become one of the most sensational chapters in royal history. The claim that Meghan Markle was caught paying royal staff to bully Princess Charlotte, and that Prince William, in response, took the unprecedented step of stripping Meghan of her royal title. But before we rush to judgment, we have to ask, what is the truth behind these bombshell allegations? How did whispers turn into tabloid fire? Is there credible evidence? Or is this merely another chapter in the relentless war between Meghan and the British press? And most importantly, what does this mean for the royals, and for a little girl named Charlotte, who never asked to be at the center of such turmoil? These are the questions we're going to answer tonight, piece by piece. We'll peel back the layers of rumor and speculation, tracing the story from its very origins all the way to the explosive moment when, allegedly, Prince William decided enough was enough. For many people, Meghan Markle's story has always felt like a fairy tale, an American actress who stepped into the world's most famous royal family, marrying Prince Harry under the eyes of billions. From red carpet star to royal duchess, she seemed to embody a modern, diverse future for the monarchy. She spoke with confidence. She smiled brightly, and she seemed determined to use her new platform for causes close to her heart, from mental health to racial equality. To her supporters, she was a breath of fresh air in an ancient institution desperately trying to modernize. But to her critics, Meghan became a symbol of disruption and discord. Tabloids painted her as manipulative, fame-hungry, unwilling to play by royal rules. The public and press became obsessed with the fault lines between her and other members of the royal family, most notably Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Even after Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties and settled in California, the tension never fully disappeared. Every interview, every press statement, every rumor seemed to stoke the flames higher. And now, we have this. A claim so outrageous that, if proven true, it could damage not only Meghan's reputation, but also plunge the monarchy into a crisis from which it might never fully recover. It all allegedly started with whispers inside the palace. Staffers gossiping in hushed tones about strange payments, discreet envelopes, and hushed conversations behind closed doors. According to certain sources, some of whom have spoken anonymously, Meghan supposedly paid royal staff members to carry out acts of emotional cruelty against Princess Charlotte, William and Kate's daughter, and the future Queen's sister. The allegations say Charlotte was subjected to deliberate snubs, whispered insults, and calculated coldness meant to undermine her confidence and humiliate her in private royal settings. Some claim this was part of a broader strategy to strain William and Kate's marriage, or to destabilize public perception of the Cambridges altogether. On its face, it sounds like the plot of a tabloid soap opera. Too shocking, too twisted, to possibly be real. But rumors like this don't come out of nowhere. They're born from tensions that have been simmering for years. They find fuel in real conflicts, even if the details become twisted along the way. So how did this particular fire start? And why has it burned so brightly, so quickly? The story first surfaced in certain online royal forums and gossip sites. It began with cryptic posts suggesting dark truths about Meghan's alleged manipulation of palace staff. Over the following weeks, certain tabloids began publishing headlines hinting at royal bullying, with references to a senior royal's child being targeted. No names were used at first, but it didn't take long before fingers started pointing toward Charlotte. From there, the rumor snowballed. More articles appeared, some with anonymous palace insiders claiming Meghan was directly involved. There were claims of money changing hands and secret agreements. There were suggestions that Meghan tried to bribe staffers to spread cruel rumors about Charlotte's personality, her appearance, or even her place in the royal family's line of succession. One rumor even suggested Meghan wanted to plant stories implying Charlotte was spoiled, difficult, or overshadowing her own children. Whether any of this is true remains very much in dispute. But the allegations took on a life of their own, fueled by the media's endless appetite for royal scandal. Suddenly, talk shows were dissecting the story. Royal commentators were issuing grave warnings about the potential fallout, and social media erupted into vicious debate. Team Meghan insisted it was all lies concocted by a hostile British press. Critics of Meghan seized on the rumors as proof of everything they'd long suspected. Into this storm stepped Prince William, a man who, by many accounts, has always seen himself as the protector of his family's dignity and stability. A man who has worked hard to modernize the monarchy while shielding his wife and children from media intrusion. For William, these allegations, if he believed them to be true, would be intolerable, not merely because they were about Meghan, but because they were allegedly directed at his daughter. And if there's one thing royal insiders agree on, it's that William will stop at nothing to protect Princess Charlotte. Which brings us to the heart of tonight's story, the claim that William, driven by fury and disgust, made the dramatic decision to strip Meghan Markle of her royal title. Not merely symbolic punishment, but a deliberate act intended to send a message that no one, royal or otherwise, will be allowed to harm his child without consequence. But let's pause here for a moment, because before we go any further, we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. We don't yet know what's true. There is no official statement from the palace confirming these allegations. Meghan herself has not publicly addressed the rumors in any detailed way. And royal news is often a complex mix of truth, speculation, and outright fabrication. That's why, in this investigation, we're going to examine every angle. We'll look at the timeline of how these rumors arose. We'll analyze the credibility of the sources. We'll hear from royal experts and historians who can explain what it would actually mean to strip someone of a royal title, and whether Prince William even has the legal authority to do so. We'll explore the impact on Meghan's public image, on Harry, and on the monarchy as an institution. And most importantly, we'll examine the emotional cost to Princess Charlotte, an innocent child caught in a brutal media storm not of her making. So as we embark on this journey, keep one question in mind. What does justice look like inside the royal family? Is it about protecting a little girl's emotional well-being at any cost, even if it means plunging the monarchy into scandal? Or is it about preserving the institution's dignity, avoiding rash decisions, and waiting for undeniable proof before taking action that could change royal history forever? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's being alleged, who's saying what, and how credible those claims truly are. You'll understand the stakes for William, for Meghan, and for Princess Charlotte. And you'll be able to decide for yourself where the truth might lie. Because in the world of royal scandals, one thing is certain. The truth is rarely simple, and the consequences are always enormous. So buckle up, because we're about to peel back the gilded curtains of the royal palace and step into one of the most explosive and heartbreaking royal sagas of our time. And by the time we reach the end, you may find yourself asking, has the House of Windsor just witnessed the ultimate betrayal within its own family? Or has Meghan Markle once again become the target of a smear campaign designed to silence her forever? To truly understand how a scandal like this could explode, and why the idea of stripping Meghan Markle of a royal title is so powerful and controversial, we first have to understand the world of royal titles and the complex dynamics within the British royal family. Because to outsiders, it might seem like these titles are just fancy names or ceremonial fluff. But inside the palace walls, titles are currency. They're symbols of rank, privilege, loyalty, and belonging. They define who you are in the eyes of the monarchy, and, in many ways, in the eyes of the public. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is a royal title? And why does it matter so much? In the British monarchy, titles are a centuries-old system designed to signal hierarchy and allegiance. They're not just words tacked in front of a name. They carry immense legal, financial, and social weight. The titles determine everything from how you're addressed at official events to which honors and privileges you're entitled to. They can open doors to enormous influence or slam them shut. For example, the title of prince or princess isn't given lightly. Under the current rules, laid out by King George V's 1917 letters patent, only the children and male-line grandchildren of the monarch automatically become princes or princesses. That's why Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis all have royal titles. They're direct descendants of the future king. It's also why Archie and Lilibet, Meghan and Harry's children, were not born with prince or princess titles, although there has been debate about whether they could use them now that Charles is king. And then there's the title of Duke or Duchess. This is often granted as a wedding gift by the reigning monarch. When Prince William married Kate Middleton, he became the Duke of Cambridge. When Prince Harry married Meghan Markle, he became the Duke of Sussex, and she, the Duchess of Sussex. This title elevated Meghan from American actress to Royal Duchess overnight, granting her both status and a place in the royal hierarchy. These titles carry certain expectations. Holders are seen as representatives of the monarchy. They're expected to conduct themselves with discretion, dignity, and loyalty. In exchange, they enjoy significant privileges, invitations to royal events, association with charitable organizations, and in some cases, financial support from the royal family's private income. So when we talk about stripping Meghan Markle of her royal title, we're not simply talking about removing a name from a letterhead. We're talking about erasing her formal place within the royal structure. It would be a message not only to Meghan, but to the world, that she no longer holds the trust and recognition of the institution. It would be an extraordinary act, something the monarchy rarely does, precisely because it's so symbolic and potentially explosive. But let's also talk about why this idea feels plausible to some people. Because the royal family is not just a collection of people in fancy clothes. It's a tightly controlled institution that has survived for more than 1,000 years by enforcing loyalty and protecting its public image. And in recent years, the monarchy has found itself navigating treacherous waters. Part of the problem is that the British royal family has always lived a double life. On the one hand, they're a family, bound by blood, love, jealousy, and private rivalries like any other. On the other hand, they're an institution, expected to embody unity, tradition, and continuity. They're Britain's national symbol, a living, breathing brand whose value depends on public affection. That dual existence creates enormous tension. Every personal conflict risks becoming a public scandal. Every private dispute has the potential to explode into global headlines. And nowhere has that tension been clearer than in the relationships between Prince William, Prince Harry, and their spouses. Let's rewind to the years before Meghan entered the picture. For decades, William and Harry were seen as the monarchy's shining future. The public adored them as the sons of Princess Diana, a woman whose tragic death in 1997 still casts a long shadow over the royal family. William was serious, duty-driven, the future king in training. Harry was mischievous, fun-loving, and dubbed the spare in the famous heir and spare dynamic that's defined royal succession for centuries. When Meghan Markle appeared on the royal stage, things changed fast. Harry seemed transformed, deeply in love, protective of Meghan, and increasingly at odds with royal protocols he once accepted. Meghan's arrival was hailed by many as a breath of fresh air. She was biracial, American, successful on her own terms, and brought a modern sensibility to royal life. But the fairy tale didn't last. From the start, there were tensions. Rumors swirled about clashes between Meghan and palace staff. Headlines screamed about Meghan allegedly making Kate cry during wedding preparations, a story that Meghan herself denied in the famous Oprah interview, claiming the reverse was true. Every move Meghan made seemed to be dissected, criticized, or praised in equal measure. Her supporters said she was a victim of racism and outdated royal snobbery. Her critics said she was manipulative and unwilling to play her role quietly. Meanwhile, behind palace walls, the relationship between William and Harry reportedly began to fracture. According to some insiders, William felt Harry was moving too quickly with Meghan and feared she was pulling him away from the family. Harry, for his part, seemed increasingly resentful of what he perceived as a lack of support and understanding from his brother. The result was an unprecedented split in the royal family's public image, culminating in Harry and Meghan stepping back as senior royals in early 2020, a move that became known as Megxit. Even after leaving royal duties, Meghan and Harry remained connected to the monarchy through their titles. They were no longer working royals, but they still carried the Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles, which continued to give them royal gravitas in the eyes of the world. For the royal institution, this posed a delicate problem. Stripping them of titles could be seen as vindictive or petty, but allowing them to keep titles while publicly criticizing the monarchy also felt untenable to some inside the palace. And this is where the alleged scandal involving Princess Charlotte hits like a grenade. Because if there's one thing the royal family will fiercely protect, it's the privacy and well-being of royal children. The British public has a deeply ingrained affection for royal kids, from the days of young Prince William and Prince Harry in their sailor suits to the modern images of George, Charlotte, and Louis smiling shyly for the cameras. Royal children symbolize innocence and the future of the monarchy. Any harm directed at them is perceived as an attack on the monarchy itself. So if allegations emerged suggesting that Meghan paid palace staff to mistreat or bully Princess Charlotte, the implications would be seismic. For Prince William, it wouldn't merely be a family conflict, it would be a threat to his child. And for the monarchy, it would raise profound questions about loyalty, decency, and the limits of forgiveness. It's important to remember that stripping a royal title isn't something the monarchy does casually. It's exceedingly rare. Even during some of the most infamous royal scandals, titles often remained intact. For example, after Edward VIII abdicated the throne to Mary Wallis-Simpson, a scandal that rocked the monarchy to its core, he kept the title of Duke of Windsor, though his wife was denied the style of Her Royal Highness. Similarly, when Prince Andrew faced allegations linked to Jeffrey Epstein, his military titles and royal patronages were returned to the Queen, but he retained the title Duke of York. These decisions are deeply political and often carefully calibrated to balance public outrage with the monarchy's desire for stability. So if William has indeed taken it upon himself to strip Meghan of her title, it would mark one of the most aggressive moves in modern royal history. It would signal that he believes Meghan's alleged actions have crossed a line so severe that mere distancing or silence is no longer enough. It would also raise complex legal and constitutional questions. Does William actually have the authority to strip someone of a title? Or would that decision rest solely with the reigning monarch, currently King Charles III? This is why the context around royal titles matters so much. It's not simply a matter of names or vanity. It's about power, symbolism, and survival. Titles tell the world who is in and who is out. And for a monarchy that depends on public trust, drawing those lines can mean the difference between continuity and crisis. But royal dynamics don't exist in a vacuum. They're influenced by public opinion, politics, and the relentless pressures of media scrutiny. In recent years, the royal family has faced an increasingly polarized public. Some see Meghan as a victim of entrenched racism and traditionalism within the monarchy. Others view her as an opportunist who undermined royal unity for personal gain. These sharply divided camps make it nearly impossible for the monarchy to navigate scandals without alienating one side or the other. So as we move forward in this investigation, keep this context in mind. We're not simply dealing with a personal feud or a private family drama. We're dealing with an institution that has survived wars, abdications, divorces, and endless scandal, and yet remains as fragile as ever in the modern age. The stakes are higher than they've ever been. Because this isn't just about Meghan Markle. It's about how the monarchy defines loyalty, punishment, and who belongs within its gilded walls. And perhaps most importantly, it's about a little girl named Charlotte, whose childhood may now be forever marked by rumors and allegations she's far too young to even understand. As we dig deeper into the allegations, we'll see why these titles, and the emotions tied to them, could ignite a scandal powerful enough to rock the monarchy from the inside out. To understand why these latest allegations against Meghan Markle have triggered such intense fascination and such fierce controversy, we have to look back at how Meghan's journey into the British royal family began, and why it has been one of the most turbulent royal stories of modern times. Because Meghan's time as a royal has never been just about love or marriage. It has always been intertwined with larger questions about race, tradition, loyalty, and the monarchy's place in a rapidly changing world. Rewind to the summer of 2016. Meghan Markle was an actress living in Toronto, working on the popular legal drama Suits. She played Rachel Zane, a smart, ambitious paralegal who quickly became one of the show's most beloved characters. Off-screen, Meghan cultivated a brand as a lifestyle influencer, running a blog called The Tig, where she shared thoughts on fashion, food, travel, and personal development. Her life seemed glamorous and successful, but it was still far removed from the gilded cages of royal palaces. Meanwhile, in London, Prince Harry was the world's most eligible bachelor. The second son of Prince Charles and the late Princess Diana, Harry had spent years in the public eye as the mischievous royal rebel. He served in the military, earning respect for his tours in Afghanistan. He championed mental health causes and founded the Invictus Games for wounded veterans. But despite his charitable work, Harry's personal life often made headlines for the wrong reasons. Party photos, costume controversies, and rumors of wild nights out painted him as the spare who struggled to find purpose. All of that changed when Harry met Meghan. According to both of them, they were set up by a mutual friend. Their first date took place in London. Harry later said he knew Meghan was the one from the very first moment. Meghan described being swept up in a whirlwind romance, unaware at first of how dramatically her life was about to change. For a while, their relationship was kept secret. But by October 2016, the news broke. Prince Harry was dating an American actress. The media frenzy was immediate and intense. Paparazzi stalked Meghan's filming locations in Toronto. Tabloid headlines ranged from gushing admiration to harsh critiques, with many making thinly veiled references to her biracial background. Some of the coverage was overtly racist. Words like exotic and straight outta Compton appeared in British press articles. The scrutiny was relentless. In November 2016, Harry did something unprecedented for a royal. He issued an official statement through Kensington Palace, condemning the press for harassing Meghan and subjecting her to what he called a wave of abuse and harassment. The statement described how Meghan's mother had been chased by photographers, how false stories had been published, and how Meghan's life had been turned upside down. It was a remarkable moment, a prince going public to defend his girlfriend from the media storm. That statement marked the beginning of Harry and Meghan's increasingly complicated relationship with the British press and, by extension, the royal institution itself. In November 2017, Harry and Meghan announced their engagement. The world watched as they gave their first official interview, sitting side by side in Nottingham Cottage, holding hands, smiling. Harry seemed happier than ever. Meghan spoke about how the royal family had been welcoming and how she was ready to embrace a life of service. Many people saw their engagement as a sign that the monarchy was modernizing, becoming more diverse and inclusive. For a brief moment, there was genuine optimism. Their wedding on May 19, 2018, was a spectacle watched by millions worldwide. St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle was filled with celebrities, royals, and dignitaries. Meghan walked down the aisle in a stunning Da Vinci gown, accompanied partway by Prince Charles after her own father, Thomas Markle, became embroiled in a tabloid scandal involving staged paparazzi photos. The wedding blended traditional royal rituals with modern touches, a gospel choir, a fiery sermon by American Bishop Michael Curry, and an unmistakable sense that the royal family was stepping into a new era. But even as the wedding bells faded, tensions were reportedly simmering behind the scenes. Almost immediately after their marriage, reports began to surface suggesting friction between Meghan and other members of the royal family. One of the first major rumors involved a disagreement between Meghan and Kate Middleton, allegedly over Princess Charlotte's bridesmaid dress for the wedding. Early reports claimed Meghan made Kate cry during a fitting. Meghan would later insist in the Oprah interview that it was the other way around, that Kate made her cry and then apologized. Even though such details might seem trivial, they took on enormous symbolic weight. The British press loves a royal rivalry, and the idea of a feud between the glamorous new Duchess and the future Queen was irresistible. There were other stories. Staffers began leaking to tabloids that Meghan was demanding, difficult, or even cruel. Reports surfaced of high staff turnover in Meghan and Harry's household. The British media coined the nickname Duchess Difficult. Friends of Meghan insisted she was misunderstood and being held to unfair standards. Critics accused her of ignoring royal traditions and acting like a celebrity rather than a royal. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan began carving out their own royal path. distinct from William and Kate. They launched separate charitable initiatives. They moved out of Kensington Palace and into Frogmore Cottage, on the grounds of Windsor Castle. Harry and Meghan's office was split from William and Kate's. This administrative separation was widely viewed as confirmation that the Fab Four, as the press once called the two couples, was over. By 2019, things seemed to be reaching a breaking point. The couple's royal tour of southern Africa produced some beautiful images and positive press coverage. But during the tour, Meghan gave an emotional interview to journalist Tom Bradby, admitting she was not okay. She spoke of struggling with the pressures of royal life, the relentless media attacks, and becoming a new mother in the midst of it all. Harry, too, spoke openly about his strained relationship with William, saying they were on different paths. The following year brought the bombshell that would redefine Harry and Meghan's place in the royal family forever. In January 2020, Harry and Meghan announced they intended to step back as senior members of the royal family. They expressed a desire to become financially independent while still supporting the Queen. The move, dubbed Megxit by the press, sent shockwaves through the monarchy. Negotiations followed. Ultimately, the couple agreed they would no longer represent the Queen, they would give up certain patronages, and they would stop using the style, Her Royal Highness, even though they retained their Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles. After leaving the UK, Harry and Meghan settled in Montecito, California. They signed deals with Netflix and Spotify. They gave the now famous Oprah interview in March 2021, during which they made explosive allegations about racism within the royal family and a lack of support for Meghan's mental health struggles. Meghan revealed that at one point, she felt so hopeless that she considered ending her life, and that palace officials refused to help. Perhaps the most shocking revelation was the claim that a member of the royal family had expressed concerns about how dark their son Archie's skin might be. The Oprah interview polarized opinion further. Supporters saw Meghan as brave, speaking out against an archaic institution and racism. Critics saw the couple as disloyal, airing private grievances in public and damaging the monarchy. Meanwhile, the royal family issued a carefully worded statement saying recollections may vary, but that the issues raised were taken seriously. Since then, Harry and Meghan have continued to live in the public eye, albeit on their own terms. They have pursued media ventures and philanthropic work. Meghan has launched children's books and spoken at women's events. Harry has released a memoir, Spare, offering a deeply personal and sometimes scathing look at royal life. Through it all, tensions have remained high between them and the royal establishment. And now, into this already volatile landscape, has come perhaps the most inflammatory allegation yet, that Meghan Markle paid royal staff to bully Princess Charlotte. It's an allegation that cuts to the heart of all the fears and criticisms that have dogged Meghan's royal journey. For those who have always viewed Meghan as manipulative or calculating, it feels like the final confirmation of their worst suspicions. For those who see her as a victim of racism and relentless media attacks, it's yet another example of how easily Meghan is blamed for royal discord. Why would Meghan, who has been so vocal about protecting her own children from media intrusion, allegedly target a child like Princess Charlotte? What could possibly motivate such a scheme, if indeed it ever happened? Was it, as some tabloids speculate, an attempt to destabilize William and Kate's marriage? Or is the entire story an invention, a cruel piece of gossip designed to discredit Meghan once and for all? These questions hang over the royal family like a dark cloud. Because Meghan's history in the royal family is not just one of love and glamour. It's a story of culture clash, media brutality, and an institution struggling to balance modern values with ancient traditions. It's a story of a woman who became both a global icon and a lightning rod for controversy, a woman whose every move has been dissected, debated, and weaponized. As we continue this investigation, we'll explore the allegations in detail. We'll examine what evidence, if any, supports them. We'll hear from palace insiders and royal historians. And we'll try to answer the fundamental question: is Meghan Markle truly capable of such a cruel conspiracy, or has she become the ultimate scapegoat for an institution that's never known how to handle outsiders? Because the answer to that question could determine the future not only of Meghan Markle, but of the entire House of Windsor. Princess Charlotte. The royal darling 1000 words. In all the chaos swirling around the British royal family, one name has become the quiet center of this latest storm: Princess Charlotte. She's the little girl whose bright smile has graced countless photographs, whose wave at royal events has charmed millions, and who now, according to rumors, may have been the target of a cruel and calculated scheme. To understand why the allegations involving her have struck such a nerve, we first need to understand who Princess Charlotte is and why she's so significant, both within the royal family and in the eyes of the public. Born on May 2, 2015, at St. Mary's Hospital in London, Charlotte Elizabeth Diana arrived to enormous fanfare. She was the second child of Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and the younger sister to Prince George. From the moment she was born, Charlotte was destined to live her life under the global spotlight. The world's media camped outside the hospital for days, eager for the first glimpse of the newborn princess. When William and Kate stepped onto the hospital steps, cradling their tiny daughter in a white blanket, the cheers from the crowd echoed through the streets. But Charlotte's significance goes beyond adorable photos and charming appearances. She represents a historic shift in royal succession laws. Thanks to changes enacted before her birth, Charlotte became the first princess in British history who would not lose her place in the line of succession simply because a younger brother was born. Under the old system of male preference primogeniture, Prince Louis's arrival in 2018 would have pushed Charlotte down the line. But under the new laws, Charlotte remains fourth in line to the throne, after her grandfather Charles, her father William, and her older brother George. It's a powerful symbol of modernizing values within the monarchy. A tiny princess representing centuries of tradition bending toward equality. Despite her royal status, Charlotte has largely been shielded from the harshest glare of the media. William and Kate have made it clear they intend to give their children as normal a childhood as possible. They carefully control what photos are released. Public appearances are limited, and when they happen, Charlotte's role is usually brief but impactful. She's become known for her cheeky personality, a royal child unafraid to show a bit of spunk. From sticking out her tongue at photographers during a sailing event to confidently shaking hands with dignitaries, Charlotte has quickly become a fan favorite. Yet even in these fleeting public glimpses, it's clear Charlotte carries the same weight of royal expectation that has burdened generations of Windsor children. Every move she makes is analyzed. Every dress she wears sparks headlines about her fashion influence. A single photograph can launch dozens of articles speculating about her personality, her resemblance to relatives, or what her behavior might reveal about her upbringing. And that's precisely why these allegations, that Meghan Markle paid staff to bully Charlotte, feel so explosive. Because to many in Britain, Charlotte is not just a child. She's a living symbol of the monarchy's future. She represents innocence, continuity, and hope for a royal family often mired in scandal. The idea that anyone within the royal circle, especially a high-profile figure like Meghan, might seek to harm or undermine Charlotte strikes at the very heart of public trust. People remember how fiercely protective William and Kate have been of their children's privacy. They've taken legal action against photographers who invaded their private moments. They've criticized media outlets for publishing unauthorized photos. William, in particular, is said to be haunted by his mother's experiences with the press and is determined his own children will not suffer the same fate. It's no wonder, then, that if William believes there's even a shred of truth to the allegations, his reaction would be fierce and uncompromising. But it's not just about protection. Charlotte's place in the royal family is also deeply political. She's the only daughter of the future king. She's the first princess in modern times who might retain a prominent public role well into adulthood, regardless of whom she marries or what path she chooses. The monarchy is acutely aware of how powerful Charlotte's public image is, and how crucial it is to protect that image from scandal. For the public, Charlotte evokes a rare moment of unity in a nation often divided about the royals. Even people who are indifferent to the monarchy admit there's something endearing about the young princess who waves politely from palace balconies, clutches her mother's hand at church services, or laughs with her brothers during official engagements. She's young enough to be untouched by politics or scandal, a reminder, perhaps, of simpler times when the royal family seemed above the tabloid fray. And so, when rumors surface suggesting Charlotte has been targeted as part of palace intrigues, the reaction is visceral. It's one thing for adults to feud, to trade barbs in interviews, or to jostle for public sympathy. It's quite another to involve a child who has no say in any of it. That's why the alleged bullying has provoked such strong emotions, even among people who might otherwise dismiss royal gossip. Is it possible Charlotte has any awareness of what's unfolding around her? It's unlikely. She's still a child, busy with school, family life, and carefully managed royal appearances. But the adults around her, the parents, the staff, the institution itself, are deeply aware that every rumor, every headline, leaves a mark, and those marks accumulate, shaping how a child grows up under the weight of royal expectation. So as we continue exploring the details of this alleged scandal, we must remember that at the center of it all stands a little girl who never chose this life. A child who, for all her titles and privileges, deserves the same protections and kindness as any other child. Because while the allegations swirling around Meghan and the royal family are complicated and politically charged, one truth remains simple: no child should ever become collateral damage in an adult war. Princess Charlotte, for all her royal titles, is still just a little girl. And right now, the entire world is watching to see whether the palace can keep her safe, not only from physical harm but from the relentless, corrosive power of rumor and scandal. It began, as so many royal scandals do, not with a thunderclap, but with whispers. Anonymous posts on online forums, hushed conversations among palace insiders, cryptic lines in gossip columns. At first, no one quite knew what to make of it. It seemed too bizarre, too sinister, even for the royal rumor mill. Yet as the weeks passed, the whispers grew louder, threads began connecting, and soon a single explosive accusation was taking shape: that Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, had paid members of royal staff to bully Princess Charlotte. For many, it seemed impossible to believe. For others, it felt like the final piece of a puzzle they'd been building for years, a puzzle painting Meghan as a manipulative, calculating figure willing to do whatever it took to secure power, influence, or revenge. But how did this allegation start? Why did it gather so much momentum? And is there any truth behind the noise? To understand the scandal, we have to trace it back to its earliest echoes. The first signs appeared in the digital shadows of royal gossip blogs and forums, places where self-proclaimed insiders post tantalizing scraps of supposed palace intrigue. One post, dated several months ago, claimed that a senior royal's child had become the target of emotional manipulation orchestrated by another royal. The post provided no names, no concrete proof. It could have been dismissed as pure fiction, except that within days, more posts appeared, adding detail and specificity. Some claimed palace staff were paid hush money to cover up certain behaviors. Others hinted that the child in question was being singled out for humiliation and subtle cruelty. Then, in a turn that sent shockwaves through the online royal watching community, new posts directly named Meghan Markle and Princess Charlotte. According to these online rumors, Meghan allegedly offered discreet financial incentives to select royal staffers, instructing them to engage in small, cutting insults or acts of exclusion directed at Charlotte. The alleged goal: to make Charlotte appear difficult, spoiled, or emotionally unstable, ultimately sowing discord between William and Kate and damaging public perception of the Cambridge family. At first glance, these claims sound outlandish, like the stuff of an overcooked royal soap opera. But the rumors quickly jumped from obscure internet corners into the broader tabloid press. Some of the more sensationalist outlets picked up fragments of the story, running headlines such as "Palace shocked by new claims of royal child bullying plot," and "Meghan accused of orchestrating smear campaign against Princess Charlotte." While many of these articles relied heavily on unnamed sources, the mere appearance of the story in print gave it a veneer of credibility. Suddenly, talk shows were discussing the scandal. Podcasts devoted episodes to dissecting the rumors. Social media erupted into frenzied debate. In a royal landscape already polarized between passionate supporters and critics of Meghan Markle, this story became gasoline poured on an open flame. So what, exactly, are the allegations? Let's break down the various strands that have emerged. First, there's the claim of financial transactions. Some sources allege that Meghan funneled money, sometimes in cash, sometimes through friendly gifts, to certain palace staff members. The amounts vary wildly depending on who is telling the story. Some rumors speak of a few £100s, others of far larger sums. The payments were supposedly offered as incentives for staffers to subtly mistreat Charlotte during private royal events or even during everyday interactions in royal households. The alleged acts of bullying were said to be relatively small but calculated. Staffers were reportedly instructed to ignore Charlotte when she tried to engage with them, to forget to include her in games or activities, or to make gentle but pointed comments about her appearance or behavior. Nothing overtly violent or illegal, just a steady drip of minor cruelties designed to undermine the child's confidence and sow discomfort within the family. One particularly persistent rumor revolves around an incident said to have occurred during a holiday gathering. According to this claim, a royal staffer made a sarcastic remark suggesting Charlotte was the bossy one in the family and that she would have trouble getting friends if she keeps acting like a princess. Supposedly, Charlotte was reduced to tears, and William was furious. Yet, crucially, there's no confirmed record of this happening. No photos, no official statements, no publicly verifiable witnesses. The second major strand of allegation suggests that Meghan's supposed motive was to create a wedge between William and Kate. Some gossip sources claim Meghan wanted to weaken the Cambridge's public image, either out of jealousy, resentment, or strategic calculation. If Charlotte could be made to appear problematic or difficult, it might damage William and Kate's standing as the perfect royal couple and model family. But why Charlotte? Some speculate that Charlotte, as the only daughter of William and Kate, occupies a unique place in the public's affections. Targeting her would maximize emotional impact. The theory, if you believe these allegations, is that Meghan understood that undermining Charlotte would be far more devastating than focusing on George or Louis. It's a deeply cynical idea, suggesting a level of manipulation that many find hard to reconcile with Meghan's public persona as a mental health advocate and protective mother. The third aspect of the rumors involves the idea that Meghan sought revenge for perceived slights during her own time as a working royal. Some allege she felt isolated and unsupported by the royal family, especially by William and Kate. The suggestion is that targeting Charlotte would be a way to strike back at the people Meghan saw as partly responsible for her own unhappiness. Yet all these allegations share a common problem: a lack of concrete evidence. To date, no credible documents, recordings, or first-hand statements have surfaced proving that any payments were made or that staffers were instructed to mistreat Charlotte. Many of the claims originate from anonymous sources or third-hand gossip. Even in the tabloids that have reported the story, most language is couched in disclaimers, allegedly, reportedly, sources claim. This absence of solid proof hasn't stopped the rumors from flourishing. Royal scandals thrive in precisely this environment, an ecosystem where partial truths, personal vendettas, and salacious details swirl together into narratives that can feel real, even when they're impossible to verify. Royal historians and commentators are quick to point out that the royal household has long been plagued by leaks and internal rivalries. It's not difficult to believe that certain staffers might sell stories, whether true or exaggerated, to tabloids eager for the next big headline. And when Meghan Markle is involved, the incentive for sensationalism is higher than ever. She's a figure who evokes strong reactions, both positive and negative. A story about Meghan and a royal child is guaranteed to draw clicks and sell papers. But even among seasoned royal watchers, there's deep skepticism. Many find it implausible that Meghan would risk such a reckless scheme, especially one involving a child. They point to her consistent public messaging about the importance of protecting children from media intrusion and bullying. Others note that Meghan has faced relentless negative press, much of it tied to racial undertones, making it entirely possible that these allegations are part of a smear campaign rather than a genuine scandal. There's another critical angle to consider: the palace's silence. Traditionally, the royal family's motto is never complain, never explain. They rarely address rumors directly, preferring to let scandals burn out or fade away. So far, no official palace statement has confirmed or denied the allegations about Meghan and Charlotte. This silence leaves a vacuum where speculation grows unchecked. Meanwhile, legal experts have weighed in on what it would mean if any part of these allegations turned out to be true. If Meghan indeed paid staffers to harass a child, it could constitute a civil or even criminal matter, depending on the specifics. Emotional abuse of a minor, even indirect, could fall under child protection laws. Financial transactions used to encourage harmful behavior could lead to charges of conspiracy or coercion. Yet again, there's no evidence that any such legal action has been initiated. And then there's Prince William. Reports suggest that William, if he believes any of these allegations, would be livid. For a man known for his protectiveness over his family, the idea that his daughter might have been targeted is unthinkable. Some rumors claim William personally confronted senior palace officials, demanding an investigation. Others suggest he held private meetings with the king to discuss possible consequences for Meghan, including the dramatic step of stripping her of royal titles. But just like the rest of the story, these reports remain unverified. In public, William has maintained his usual composure, appearing at royal engagements with Kate and the children, offering no visible hint of turmoil. Yet royal watchers say there's a subtle tension in his demeanor, a sense that beneath the polished exterior, something is simmering. For Meghan, these allegations, even if unproven, are profoundly damaging. Her public brand has always been rooted in advocating for mental health, women's rights, and compassion. To be accused of targeting a child runs directly counter to the image she's cultivated. Whether true or not, the rumors add another layer to the narrative that Meghan is a disruptive force within the royal family. And for a woman who has spoken openly about her mental health struggles, the relentless barrage of news scandals can only deepen the personal toll. At the same time, Meghan's defenders argue passionately that this is yet another smear campaign. They believe elements within the royal institution, or parts of the tabloid press, are determined to destroy Meghan's reputation to preserve the monarchy's image or to punish her for speaking out. In their view, the allegations about Charlotte are simply the latest weapon used to discredit Meghan and keep her from wielding any influence over public opinion. So where does the truth lie? At this stage, it's impossible to say definitively. We're left with a murky story built on whispers, anonymous sources, and a media environment hungry for royal drama. It's a story that may never fully resolve, because in the royal world, the line between fact and fiction often remains blurred forever. But one fact is clear: the allegations have thrown another grenade into the royal family's delicate balance. Whether true or false, they have forced questions about loyalty, trust, and the lengths to which people will go for power or revenge. They've also reminded the world of the unique vulnerability of royal children like Princess Charlotte, whose lives can be upended by adult conflicts they can't possibly understand. As we move forward, the question remains, will hard evidence ever emerge to confirm or debunk these allegations? Or will this story remain yet another royal ghost story, an unsolved mystery whispered through palace corridors for years to come? Either way, one thing is certain: the scandal has once again placed Meghan Markle at the epicenter of royal controversy in a saga that seems to have no end in sight. In the labyrinthine world of royal rumor, few stories have cut as deeply or as personally as the allegations that Princess Charlotte, a child just stepping into her school years, became the target of bullying orchestrated from within the royal family itself. For the British public, the notion is both shocking and deeply emotional, because this isn't merely a palace squabble or a clash between in-laws. It's the possibility that an innocent child, born into the spotlight, may have been weaponized as a pawn in a far larger and darker struggle for power, influence, and revenge. We must begin by understanding exactly what these allegations claim. The core accusation is that Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, deliberately sought to undermine Princess Charlotte's confidence and public image. Not through overt acts of aggression, but through subtle, sustained acts of emotional sabotage. According to multiple tabloid reports and anonymous palace sources, Meghan allegedly directed certain palace staff members to treat Charlotte differently, to exclude her, belittle her, and quietly spread stories about her supposed behavioral problems. At first, the allegations seemed almost too incredible to believe. Royal staffers ignoring a princess? Whispering insults behind her back. Yet the rumors persisted, each new article layering fresh detail onto an increasingly elaborate narrative. One widely circulated story claims that during a private family gathering at Kensington Palace, a member of staff made a cutting remark about Charlotte's bossy personality, suggesting she would never have friends if she continued to act like a little queen. Witnesses allegedly described Charlotte's face crumpling in confusion and hurt. William, overhearing the comment, was said to have confronted the staff member immediately, demanding an explanation. Some reports suggest the staffer later admitted they had been encouraged to speak negatively about Charlotte, though this remains entirely unconfirmed. Another rumor focuses on Charlotte's appearances at royal events. Several tabloids have suggested that Charlotte was subtly sidelined in family photographs, positioned away from the center, encouraged to step back, or spoken to less than her siblings. It's a detail that royal watchers have pored over, analyzing every family portrait for evidence of hidden tension. But whether any of these photographic clues genuinely indicate bullying is impossible to verify. Children shift positions. Photographers choose angles. Reading malice into such fleeting moments is as risky as it is tempting. A third thread in the allegations involves Charlotte's wardrobe. According to certain sources, Meghan allegedly influenced decisions about Charlotte's clothing, encouraging stylists or staff to select less flattering outfits, supposedly to diminish Charlotte's visual impact during public events. The idea seems absurd on its face, yet it has gained traction in some corners of the tabloid press, where stories about royal fashion battles are perennial bestsellers. The claim has been widely ridiculed, with many pointing out that Charlotte's outfits are chosen by her mother, Kate, in collaboration with trusted royal aides. Perhaps the most troubling rumor concerns Charlotte's emotional well-being. Some reports allege that Charlotte became noticeably withdrawn at home, expressing anxiety about going to certain events where specific staffers would be present. According to unnamed palace insiders, Charlotte's parents noticed subtle changes in her behavior, a child who once chatted freely becoming quieter and more reserved. These reports suggest William and Kate became increasingly suspicious that someone close to the family was mistreating Charlotte in ways too subtle to catch in the moment, but damaging nonetheless. Again, it's crucial to emphasize that these allegations remain entirely unproven. There is no official statement from the palace confirming any mistreatment of Charlotte. There are no publicly documented complaints from William and Kate. And for every rumor, there's a counterargument pointing out the absence of concrete evidence. Royal historians and seasoned journalists have expressed skepticism, noting that the palace has tight controls over staff and that anything as damaging as a coordinated bullying campaign would likely have surfaced through more credible channels. Yet, even so, the rumors have taken on a life of their own. And part of the reason they've gained traction is that they fit into a narrative long nurtured by sections of the British press. The idea that Meghan Markle is manipulative, vindictive, and willing to break royal codes of conduct for her own purposes. To critics of Meghan, the allegations feel like confirmation of suspicions they've harbored for years, that Meghan sought to assert power within the royal family by destabilizing those closest to the future throne. But there's another side to this story, a side that sees Meghan as the perpetual target of a vicious smear campaign. Her defenders argue that these rumors about Charlotte are simply too extreme to be true. They insist Meghan would never involve a child in palace conflicts, particularly given her outspoken advocacy for mental health and her own experiences with media harassment. To them, the allegations are part of a calculated effort to discredit Meghan permanently and ensure she remains an outsider in royal circles. So why Charlotte? Why would anyone, even in theory, choose to target a child who, until now, has been seen as the darling of the royal family? The answer may lie in Charlotte's symbolic power. She's not merely a royal child. She's the only daughter of the future king and the first princess in modern royal history whose place in the line of succession is not superseded by a younger brother. She's a visible symbol of the monarchy's modernizing efforts and a public relations asset for William and Kate. To harm Charlotte's image would be to strike at one of the most emotionally resonant pillars of the royal brand. And Charlotte's unique popularity only amplifies the stakes. The public has watched her grow from a shy baby cradled in Kate's arms to a confident little girl waving from palace balconies. She's known for her spirited personality, cheeky expressions, and moments of unexpected humor. She's the royal child who scolded photographers to stop taking pictures, who stuck out her tongue at crowds during a regatta, and who often seems to be the liveliest presence in royal family photos. People feel a protective affection for her. The idea that she might be the victim of bullying, even subtle, whispered cruelty, triggers an immediate and visceral public reaction. The allegations have also become entangled with the narrative of a wider royal feud. For years, the press has painted a picture of competition and conflict between William and Kate on one side and Harry and Meghan on the other. Every look, every seating arrangement at royal events has been scrutinized for signs of icy distance. Against this backdrop, a story suggesting that Meghan would target Charlotte doesn't just implicate Meghan personally. It reinforces the idea of a deep, bitter war between the Sussexes and the Cambridges. And because children are involved, the stakes feel exponentially higher. Adding further fuel to the fire is the absence of an official denial. The royal family rarely comments on rumors. Their strategy is almost always silence. But this silence, in the face of such damaging allegations, has allowed speculation to flourish unchecked. Every day that passes without a statement becomes, in the eyes of some observers, a sign that there might be truth behind the claims. Of course, this logic is deeply flawed. Silence does not equal confirmation. Yet in the vacuum left by the palace's traditional never complain, never explain stance, rumors metastasize into something resembling fact. Royal experts have weighed in, warning that even if these allegations are false, the damage could be lasting. Public perception is shaped by repetition. The more these stories circulate, the more they lodge in people's minds, regardless of truth. Meghan, who has already battled years of negative press, may find it impossible to shake off the shadow of being labeled the woman who targeted a child. And for Charlotte, there's another danger. Even if she remains blissfully unaware for now, she will one day grow up and read these stories. She'll discover that during her childhood, headlines around the world speculated that she was the victim of internal palace conspiracies. This is the grim reality of being born royal, the loss of private childhood innocence, replaced by a public record of rumors and scandal. So where does that leave us? We're left standing in the fog between rumor and reality. On one hand, we have deeply troubling allegations of calculated emotional abuse directed at a child. On the other, we have an absence of solid proof, a backdrop of bitter royal rivalries, and a media ecosystem eager for the next sensational headline. At the center of it all stands Princess Charlotte, a child too young to comprehend why strangers are debating her name across continents. A child whose bright smile and confident wave have come to symbolize hope for a monarchy struggling to define its future. And a child who, whether the allegations are true or false, is now caught in a storm of adult conflicts and hidden agendas. As we continue this investigation, we must ask the hardest question of all. Is it possible to ever know the truth in a royal scandal of this magnitude? Or are we destined to live in a world where rumor and reality remain forever intertwined, leaving even the youngest members of the royal family as collateral damage? One thing is clear. This story has become much bigger than Meghan or Charlotte. It's become a reflection of the public's fascination with royalty, the endless appetite for scandal, and the fragile line separating truth from fiction in the court of public opinion. And as long as that line remains blurred, Princess Charlotte's name will linger in headlines she never asked to be part of, a symbol of the royal family's deepest vulnerabilities. Once the rumors about Meghan Markle allegedly paying royal staff to bully Princess Charlotte began to surface, it didn't take long for the media machine to roar to life. In the world of royal news, a single whisper can mushroom into global headlines in a matter of hours. And in this case, the story contained every ingredient that makes for a perfect media storm. A royal feud, money changing hands, allegations of betrayal, and the innocent figure of a child at the center. It started quietly, in the corners of online royal forums and gossip blogs where self-styled insiders trade snippets of supposed palace secrets. The allegations seemed too outrageous to make it into the mainstream press at first. Even seasoned royal watchers dismissed them as lurid gossip. But in an age of clicks and viral headlines, the boundary between fringe rumors and mainstream coverage has never been thinner. The first significant break into the wider media came from a tabloid paper notorious for publishing royal scoops, often based on unnamed palace sources. Their headline was as bold as it was vague: shock claims, royal child targeted in palace power play. The article was carefully worded, avoiding names while dropping enough hints for readers to connect the dots. It spoke of a senior royal's child being subtly undermined and referenced hush money payments from another royal. For the avid royal follower, it was all but clear who the article implied. That initial story sparked a cascade. Other tabloids picked it up, each adding new flourishes. Some began using Charlotte's name outright, while others stopped dancing around the identity of the alleged perpetrator and named Meghan Markle directly. The British tabloid ecosystem functions like an echo chamber. Once a story emerges, it bounces from paper to paper, gathering momentum and embellishment with every retelling. Television news soon followed. Royal commentators were booked onto morning shows to speculate about what this might mean. Could Meghan really have orchestrated a bullying campaign? Would William seek revenge? Was this the final fracture that would split the royal family irreparably? Questions flew fast and furious, often with precious few facts to anchor them. Social media, meanwhile, became a battlefield. On Twitter, hashtags like #ProtectCharlotte and #MeghanExposed began trending. Supporters of Meghan dismissed the allegations as yet another racist attack against a woman of color who had dared to challenge royal norms. Critics of Meghan seized on the rumors as proof of a character they'd long believed was manipulative and calculating. Across YouTube and TikTok, influencers produced hour-long breakdowns, zooming in on photographs of royal events, trying to decipher body language, whispered words, or seating arrangements that might prove the allegations true or false. It's difficult to overstate how rapidly the rumor grew. One day, the story was a niche whisper among royal watchers. Within a week, it was front-page news in major tabloids and a hot topic across morning radio shows. The sheer speed reflected the hunger for royal scandal, a hunger that has only grown more ravenous in the digital age. One reason the story gained such traction is the emotional pull of the narrative. Children, especially royal children, evoke powerful protective instincts. Princess Charlotte is adored by many in Britain and beyond. Her appearances are limited but always newsworthy, a cheeky wave at Trooping the Color, a shy smile on her first day of school, a mischievous grin while standing beside her brothers. She represents innocence, a glimpse of future royalty untarnished by scandal. The notion that she might have been targeted for bullying hits the public in the gut. The story also tapped into broader themes swirling around the royal family for years. For some, the allegations seemed to confirm long-held suspicions about Meghan Markle's alleged manipulative streak. For others, it appeared to be a fresh smear campaign against a woman who has been relentlessly hounded by the British press, especially since she and Prince Harry stepped back from royal duties. It's important to recognize how the media environment shapes these narratives. Stories about the royals are not merely reported, they're packaged, sold, and consumed like entertainment. Tabloid headlines compete for attention, often resorting to the most dramatic framing possible. Meghan's cruel plot against Charlotte is far more clickable than a measured headline noting unproven rumors. And the result is that allegations become part of public consciousness, even when no credible evidence has been presented. Royal correspondents have expressed frustration over the coverage. Some reputable journalists warned that the allegations appeared thin, lacking verifiable facts. They pointed out that no palace statement confirmed any wrongdoing, and that reputable sources close to the Cambridges remained tight-lipped. Yet even these warnings struggle to cut through the noise. Once a rumor becomes viral, it's almost impossible to contain. At the same time, the coverage has reflected the stark divides in public opinion about the royal family itself. The monarchy has become a symbol onto which people project broader political and social anxieties. For some, it represents tradition, stability, and national identity. For others, it's an outdated institution steeped in privilege, colonial history, and inequality. Meghan Markle sits at the heart of these debates. As a biracial woman, an American outsider, and a figure who has openly criticized the royal institution, she is both championed and vilified in equal measure. So when the allegations about Charlotte surfaced, they didn't exist in a vacuum. They became fuel for pre-existing narratives. People saw in the scandal whatever confirmed their prior beliefs. Those sympathetic to Meghan viewed the story as another example of how the British press invents scandals to demonize her. Those hostile to Meghan saw it as vindication, proof that she had always been a destructive force within the royal family.